Wednesday, May 15th. Wake up, wake up, 49ers fans. We're going to have a schedule for you later today. It's a big day. We're going to finally see what this season is going to look like, at least on paper. Welcome to Wake Up with Damon and Larry. Please like and subscribe. Good morning, Larry.
Good morning. And as Raphael 562 Niners, who's been a very loyal subscriber since the early days of the Krueger show and the early days of Wake Up, he says, reminds everybody, like and subscribe, everyone. If you hit like, that just helps the algorithm. More people find the shows. And if you hit subscribe and hit that little notification bell every time Damon and I go live, you will get a notification and you can join the stream. So thank you, Raphael. Appreciate you. And thanks for the reminder for everybody. And happy Wednesday to everybody. It's a big playoff Wednesday in the Krueger household because tonight at 5:30, my 14-year-old starts the Pleasant Hill Little League Western Division playoffs. He will be at playoffs. He will be on the bump tonight, almost guaranteed, since he's probably one of our best pitchers. And it was not a good year. We started off hot. We lost like 8 or 9 in a row. We reclaimed a win or two at the end. But it's playoff time, and it's time to win. And I will be out there trying to get my team to and across that finish line. It's a double elimination playoff tournament, and it begins tonight.
So you snuck in, and you got your ace on the bump. Good luck with that. Good luck with that, Larry.
We didn't sneak in, Damon, because it's Pleasant Hill playoffs, and everybody makes playoffs. It's kind of like the NBA.
Everyone.
It's kind of like the NBA. Everybody makes the playoffs, but I do have my 14-year-old out there. This is a kid who last year played second base and didn't have tons of arm strength. This year grew immensely, arm length, leg length, and he showed up and he's like, I don't want to pitch. I can't throw very hard. And I told him, I said, you can throw it harder than all the other kids in this league. That's how long you are. He didn't believe me. I told my coaching staff, I said, I can't get my own kid to pitch. You guys need to get him to pitch. He doesn't believe he can pitch, but when he gets out there, you're going to see he can really blow people away. And sure enough, they convinced him to pitch. Nobody listens to their dad, but you'll listen to your coach. And he's been a revelation on the mound. So now I'm looking for young Christopher to blow them away. I even said at the beginning, I said to him as he was eating his eggs in the other room, I said, I gave him the old Karate Kid sensei line. Chris, tonight, sweep the leg. And look, I pretended to rub blood from his nose, and then I said, sweep the leg.
Larry, if he has a really good outing, what I want you to do is get him on Bart, get him to the ballpark, and see if he can't give the Giants some innings of relief. They could have used another live arm last night, that's for sure. Look, since we're starting with good news about kids, I got, unfortunately, a little bad news, and it might be why my appearance on this show this morning here could be limited, let's just say.
Your kids ran away from home?
No. We could only dream, Larry. We could only dream.
Things aren't going that well.
My 2.5-year-old is sitting right here with an iPad in his hand and a little strep throat in his throat. So he is home today. And Jillian, who, because she works in tech, she can usually stay home when she wants to. She had a big meeting this morning that she had to be downtown for. So I have what is currently a calm, sedated child in the corner. I cannot give you any running time on that, though. I don't know how long calm and sedate will be the best way to describe little Ozzy, but we're off to a very good start. And I guess that would be the bad news. The good news.
The Wizard of Oz is a little bit under the weather.
The Oz is a touch under the weather. The good news, and it's funny that you started today with the like and subscribe, because Larry, this morning I woke up to the bad news of strep throat and the good news that I've officially gotten to 20,000 subscribers on my YouTube channel.
20,000, and how far in are we?
We're 14 months in. 20,000 in 14 months.
A little bit over a year. A year.
And look, I remember vividly that afternoon in March of 2023, where I came over to your house to talk about getting laid off and what YouTube could possibly be for me. And you were at, I think, 18,000 subscribers at that point in your growth, and you had been at it for a while. And I believe that in the first 13 months or whatever here, 14 months, I even outpaced your growth. And the only reason why is because you, my friend, put your hand out to me and pulled me into this, and have literally done more to help further a broadcasting career than any program director or market manager I had ever worked for in radio. I remember when you got to 40,000, Larry, you put out a very nice tweet thanking all the people that helped me. And there have been many hands that have helped me, but none have represented a bigger help than you and your audience have given to me. And I thank you so much for being, not only a co-host, but a friend and a mentor in this new space. And thank you kindly. Thank you very, very much. Thanks to all of your viewers who might not have known about me or found me through our shows that we've been doing together. They've come aboard, and it means an awful lot. But you, sir, I thank you very, very, very much for all of your help.
No doubt. No doubt. I'll say this. Let me also thank somebody that I think needs to be thanked, and that's Jillian, your wife.
Oh,
because she is everything, right? She's the engineer. She's
the IT department. She's the promotion
IT department. She's a strategist. She's kind-hearted. She's very sweet. We both overhit our coverage or whatever, or outkicked our coverage. Yeah. We both did very, very well in marriage, but yes, you and I don't know, for people who don't know our history, but we didn't know each other until 1995, and somewhere right around there, at Sports Byline USA, I did an overnight show before I ever came to Cambiar.
Yeah.
Came to Cambiar in 97, 95. I'm at Sports Byline. You wound up being our producer in 95 or 96. And, we became friends at that point. And I had been through kind of the devastation of losing a career in radio. And it's not like gradual. It's like boom. I recognize that kind of fear, that desperation, that kind of, almost knocks you for a loop. Like, what do I do? Do I sell my house? Do I move to St. Louis? Do I apply to Fox Radio? Do I, start selling selling real estate? Do I change my career? And I saw all that in your face, all that, uncertainty. And I just thought back to when I was in that spot, and I thought, what would I have wanted at that time? And I would have wanted somebody who had an opportunity that was thriving to reach out to me and say, hey, everything is not lost. Everything happens for a reason. Not just one door closes, one door opens. Sometimes one door closes and a much, much better and bigger door opens. And that's what I think this transition from radio to YouTube is. It's a much bigger audience, and you've hit it out of the ballpark. And so I'm proud of you, man. You've put in all the work. You didn't panic. You systematically went through it. You always put out good content, whether it was on the radio. You're one of the best radio guys in the country. And I knew that you would thrive in this space. So I know there are dark days even after you started, right? Where you're looking up and you're like, I just broadcasted to 300 people. Or for me, it was like, I just did a live stream with a 12-year-old or a 14-year-old who's got his own stream, and he asked me to join his, and it's like, what has happened to me, kind of a thing.
Right. I was talking to Steve Kerr a month ago. Now I got a guy named, Kevin.
Yeah, exactly. I'm now talking to, and it is a little bit of a whoa, what's going on? But then when you kind of take a step back, breathe, think, and then for me, what really helped me, Damon, was the fact that I had teenagers, and that's the audience that radio so desperately wants to connect with, and they were not connecting with my teenagers.
All right, well, Larry, I love it. I love the accolades. I gotta call a timeout. Ozzy needs something. I will literally be right back.
No problem.
And
yeah.
you want to talk about things you couldn't do on the radio? Excuse me, audience. I'm gonna go tend to my 2-year-old and be right back.
Listen, program director, I've got family issues. No, but what I was just gonna say is just that the transition, or let's call it the migration of the audience, is now clear to everybody, even the people who are in radio today. And the migration, it's not deeply personal. This migration. I'm talking about the migration of the audience from radio to YouTube, or to podcasting. And it's not personal. People take everything personally. Like, why is my audience not listening to me? Where is my audience gone? We used to have a cume of 80,000. Now we have a cume of 18,000. What's happened? What have I done? And and all I would say to everybody who's going through this or lost a job is it ain't about you. It's not about you. And if you spend too much time going, what's going on with me? You're missing the boat. It's that the phone is the star of everybody's media. Yeah. So when you get into your car pairs to your phone. Your phone doesn't pair to your car. Your car pairs to your phone. So your phone is the star, and everybody is digesting their media. If I said, I'll give you $1 million and you can walk through any neighborhood in America, and you can either give it to the first person that produces a terrestrial radio in the house that has batteries and is working, or the first person that has a smartphone, you're going to go like 1 or 2 houses before you find the first person with a smartphone. You're going to go 2 miles of walking, house to house before you're going to find that person who's 85 and has batteries and a transistor radio. So it's not about us. It's not about the hosts. It's about the migration. It's about the smart dash in cars, and it's about the migration to, the phone and being the central source of media. And YouTube is blown up. YouTube television is blown up. And there are people that, I have cable and pay that fat bill, but most people in their 20s look at cable as like the way people looked at newspapers. Like, it's an expense that why would I spend that when I can go on YouTube television for free, and I can go on the internet for free, and I can go on, not for free, but you know what I'm saying, right, for a whole lot less. And that's what's happened. And now, let's just say this. I'm coaching 14-year-olds. It came out one day because I was filling in on 95.7. Kid says, "Hey, I was driving around the other day with my dad, and we heard you on the radio." And I'm like, "Yeah." And so a couple kids go, "Oh, you're on the radio?" And I'm like, "Yeah, you can hear me on 95.7 The Game. I just fill in from time to time. I do their Niner pregame show, and whatever Matt Nahagian asked me to do, I do." And then the couple guys are like, "Oh, that's cool." And then they're like, "Well, if you only do it from time to time, what do you do the rest of the time?" I said, "Well, I have my own YouTube channel." And it was like I had said,
"Oh, that's cool. That's really cool."
All of a sudden, it was like it was 1965, and I said, "Yeah, I'm hanging out with Paul McCartney and the Beatles." It's like, you're on YouTube. You're a YouTuber. Oh my God, I want to start a YouTube channel. The 14-year-olds, it was, even the other coaches were like, "Dude," it was like a rock star had entered our midst. So times have changed.
Yeah.
People change. And it's the old Billy Bean from Moneyball, adapt or die. And there's no way I was going to die, because I got 4 kids, 3 in college, and my wife is a beautiful woman who doesn't make a lot of money. And so you know what? There was no option for me to wither. It was always get up and fight and keep rolling. And I know that you're even younger than I am, and you've got even a younger family than I have. And there was no option for you. And my wife, it was funny. My wife said to me, she's like, "Oh, that's so terrible. What happened to Damon?" I said, "I know, because he just signed a big money deal." and they yanked his sheets less than a year later. And she said, "You know what? You should really do whatever you can to help him."
No, and you did, man.
And I said, "Absolutely." And now here we are. I've got 40 something thousand, 43,000 or whatever. You're sitting there at 20, just crested the hill, and bright days are ahead, and lots of money, lots of success, lots of fortune is coming your way. So congrats, bro. And when you see your wife, tell her, give her an extra smooch, because you know what? She is kind of like my Kevin, like my son helps me with a lot of my stuff.
I'll be right back.
It's all right.
But how about this? I promise everyone, when we come back, Larry and I will stop patting each other's on the back and telling each other how smart and forward thinking we are. And we'll get into the NFL schedule and what we know about it for the 49ers. Give me just
there we go. But all I was going to say is that there's a lot of people, and I've got a number of people, Nicotina and several people that follow me on Twitter, who have started their own YouTube channels in the last year, and I will go on their channels as a guest and try to help them boost their numbers and that kind of thing. And anyway, all I can say is it's a ton of fun. As I said, I've got kids. So my kid played varsity baseball for Northgate this year. I literally, they played, 25 game schedule.
I don't know.
I was at all 25 games.
Working. Okay, you want that?
When they played Miramonte, I'm at Miramonte. When th're playing Campolindo, I'm at Campolindo. When they're playing Acalanes, I'm at Acalanes. When they're going to Santa Rosa to play Mary Carrillo or whatever, I'm out in Santa Rosa. So this YouTube project and endeavor has not only allowed me to continue my broadcasting career, but it's also helped me to enjoy my children and my family, and to be present for all of their great accomplishments. And so I love it. I get up every day. The last thing I'll say about this is there was a period of time where I did sales, and this is years and years ago.
It was like curtains or upholstery or vinyl siding.
It was fiber cement siding.
Okay.
So it was hardy plank. Like, if it looks like wood, but it's really it's really cement. And it was really good stuff. It was expensive, and I made great money doing it. It was a lot of fun. But what I loved most about it is that it was commission sales. And you got it when you do commission sales for a living, you get out of bed every day with what I consider the proper mindset, which is, if it's going to happen today, I'm going to make it happen today. Nobody's handing you a salary. I've made, hundreds of thousands of dollars in salary. Nobody's handing you a nickel. It's like you may make more than you made in salary, but you have to go out there and do it. And that's kind of what I love about this YouTube project, is that, you know what? You may make more than you made in radio. You may have a bigger audience than you ever had in radio, but you ain't going to get any of it unless nobody's going to hand it to you, and you're not going to have a comfy, cozy salary. You're going to have to go and work and grind and fight tooth and nail every day for it. And to me, I'm fine with that, because that, in my mind, that aggressive, if it's going to happen, I'm going to make it happen kind of attitude is a great way to live. That's a lot of pressure for some people, but I love that pressure, and I welcome it every day.
It's kind of like being in the mob, right? Like, this is the life we've chosen as broadcasters, and our skill sets in other arenas are nowhere near where they need to be to even get into those arenas. We're talkers, we're communicators. And I think that helps us stand out in an arena that a lot of people are just, all you need access to YouTube is electricity, and boom, you're on. And it's amazing. It's the great equalizer. You and I had a head start. 49er Sports Talk is saying, you guys are inspirations to me. You got people who just love their teams, who want to talk about them, and it's fantastic. And believe me, you're all the little, small channels. They're inspiring to me, because it shows me that anyone can come here and make an impact and have success. And again, I just wanted to say thank you, Larry.
Man, no question. You ran with it. You didn't say woe is me. Well, maybe you did for 24 hours.
But we felt bad for 48 hours. Jillian and I said we're going to give ourselves 48 hours to officially mourn what was an incredibly successful 20-year-long career in radio. And then we're going to dust ourselves off and we're going to get to work. And you and I are both grinders. We really are. We're not afraid of hard work. We're not afraid of putting in the hours. And I am more proud of my infinitesimal amount of subscribers and views than I was any vast audience or ratings point I was ever given credit for on the radio. So when you're always more proud of the house that you built with your own hands than the easy turnkey one that you can just move into. So I'm very proud to be building this, and you have been far and away the most helpful general contractor in the building of this house. And if I'm nice to you for another 30 seconds, I'm going to completely lose the carefully crafted first image of my career. So that's going to be it.
That's all right, man. But way to go. It's a major milestone. And I think I read somewhere that like 2% of YouTube channels get to 10,000 subs. 2%.
Yeah.
Some really, really low percentage. And believe me, I've talked to in the last 24 hours, I've talked to a couple guys who have started their channels who didn't have radio careers. Nobody knew them, and they are grinding, and it is a ton of work. And I said to them, how's it going? And it's like, hey, my channel's around the Niners and it's the off season and I'm really struggling and I haven't streamed as much as I want to. And, all these things that go into it. And I, obviously, I wish them the best. And I always say, hey, if that's anything I can do, go on your channel, go on a stream, I'll do it. Let me know if I can help. And just try to encourage people. But at the end of the day, it's about communication, and finding, it's like finding that new path. And I don't know what's going to happen to radio. Maybe radio will have a whole nother chapter and it will find its footing and all of a sudden, emerge as some monster in some capacity. Nobody can predict the future, but in the present, being on YouTube and having the Krueger show and, getting to share my thoughts every day about anything I want is awesome. And, somebody actually had a guy who reached out to my son and was like, you're only where you're at because of nepotism. It's like, well, wait a second. It made me laugh because it made me realize that this guy thinks that, that my son is somehow cutting the line and that is he making good money off the channel? Yeah, he's making good money off the channel, but it's not like, he's putting in tons of work. He's a grinder. You know him. I mean, he's helped you as well. He's a grinder.
Story about Kevin Krueger. That kid works his dick off. End of story.
Yeah.
That's it.
He really works.
That kid works hard. And I shouldn't even call him a kid. He's a young man. But Kevin
he's graduating college this semester. But yeah, he's still in college.
Yeah.
And he's making, whatever, $60,000, $75,000, $80,000 a year as a producer of my channel. And he's worth every penny. He's worth every penny that I pay him.
Oh, so look, the help that Kevin gave to help grow the channel and make some of the shorts that he would crank out from our wake ups when he had the time to do it. He helped grow this channel too massively. So look, thanks to everyone. Thanks to everyone. Please
like and subscribe. And if you're, I've got 43,000 or 42,000, whatever it is. If you're one of those, one of the people that subs to the Krueger show and you've yet to sub over at Damon's channel, go over there right now and give him a like and subscribe and help him get to 40,000.
What would be great is all your 40,000 would join my 20,000, and then I could help you get to 60,000, Larry.
There you go.
Here's the thing. It's really, last thing on this, and I swear to God, we're going to get into the schedule as we know it, because I can feel a little ticking time bomb over here in the corner. It is the nature of a radio host to be competitive. there was no radio community. You might be on a station, but it's still, you're all very much like individual golfers, not in a league. Like you're even competing against your own station mates to have the best ratings on the station, much less competing against the station across the street. And so to me, as a broadcaster, I've always been wired as, I must destroy you, the lamentation of the women and the destruction of my enemies. Like that's just the way I've been wired. And you come into YouTube and you just realize it's much different. It's not about competing. It's about helping everyone grow. It really is an honest to God community. And that's enough nice Damon Bruce. I'm starting to make myself sick this morning. I really am. But Larry, we got probably 15 minutes before we get a ticking time bomb going off. The 49ers schedule as we know it. Week 1, Jets, Monday Night Football. Week 7, Kansas City Chiefs coming to Santa Clara. And the latest I've just seen from Kyle Posey not too long ago, that we are going to have, as you were fearing, because there were some what you called weather locations, hey, you're going to Buffalo. Are you going to Buffalo in September, or are you going to Buffalo in December? December 1st, week 13, the 49ers will be taking on the Buffalo Bills and General Winter in upstate New York. It looks like they've got a late in the season game against the Buffalo Bills. That's what we know they have at this point in time. And what we also know they don't have is a trip to Europe, which I'm sure Kyle Shanahan and everyone involved are thrilled about, because it's a bigger difference to have to just fly to Minnesota for a tough road game than it is to have to cross international date lines and get your body clocks all screwed up going to Europe and playing in London. So the 49ers, home to the Jets week 1, home to the Chiefs week 7, on the road week 13, early December, Buffalo Bills, not going to London. And that's what we know about the schedule so far.
I guess now Kyle Posey's saying that all 6 of the Niners primetime games have been leaked already.
Oh,
so he's go to Niners Nation right now and you can see it. It looks like, you can see, it looks like Seahawks. Excuse me. It's Jets on Monday Night Football, Seahawks on Thursday Night Football, Cowboys on Sunday Night Football.
Week 8.
Bills on...
That's the week 13
Sunday night Football. And then Eagles in week 15. Or Seattle Rams week 15. And then Lions. And that'll be a Thursday nighter, and then Monday nighter against the Lions in week 17. That's kind of lame. The Niners Lions, which was they may be the 2 best teams in the conference. They're not going to have them play until week 17.
Yeah.
At that point, it may not even be Purdy and Goff. It may be backup against backup. But just a quick analysis of what we know. I think that Jets game is a major, major advantage for the Niners. I mean, it's Aaron Rodgers' first game off the Achilles. You've got the Jets with 3 new offensive linemen traveling across country to play the toughest game on their schedule, most likely, the Niners. I think that's a major advantage, and I think that's the league kind of sticking it to Rodgers because all the things that he has said and all the headaches that he's put them through with things that he has said, that that's a major advantage, I think, for the 49ers to play the Jets in that week 1 game, just because the Jets have retooled their, 3/5 of their offensive line. They got a quarterback that didn't play. You're going across country to take on Shanahan, who's offensive mastermind, and the 49er defensive line should party in that game. So, I thought that was a major advantage for the 49ers. And then I kind of like the week 7 Chiefs matchup as well. I think that's, a good time in the schedule to face the Chiefs. It's going to be still good weather out here on the West Coast. It's right before the rain season begins, and the rain in Northern California is not like rain in other parts of the country. You can set your watch by it. I mean, it's like it is not going to rain, but more than like 2 times between today and Halloween. But then as soon as it gets to, November, the rains come, and then there's a lot of rain, and then it's likely you're going to get a rainy day somewhere in there. So, and we don't get snow. So people are like, rain, well, who cares? It's rain. Where I'm living here, there's 10 feet of snow or whatever. But it's, as far as playing football, it's difficult for Brock Purdy to play football in the rain. It seems like he has a hard time gripping the ball. So I like that Week 7 Niners Chiefs kind of at home in Levi's right before the rain season begins, and also plenty of time to kind of improve if you get your doors blown off before the playoffs. So I like that one. I don't mind. It doesn't bother me that they're not going to London, though I know there's lots of Niner fans in London that are very, very disappointed. And the other one I saw was, I think Tampa is going to be early in the year, or somewhat late in the year, so that it won't be the super, super hot weather. So the only ones left are, when do they play Green Bay? Is it early in the year preferably, or is it late in the year in the snow? Advantage pack. And when do they play the Dolphins? Is it in September, major advantage Miami, or is it late in the year, major advantage Niners? So overall, I feel pretty good about the schedule, and we'll find out all the details tonight.
By the way, Buggins, like, what it do, kiddo? By the way, any 2-year-old got a cooler T-shirt today? Look at my man. Who dressed him? He's rocking a Def Leppard T-shirt right now.
Look at that. Pour some sugar on me, right?
There he is. What do you think?
Look at that. Look at that kid.
Look at that kid. I mean,
kid looks like he's fresh. You know what the nice thing is? I mean, it's early, but he's freshly shaved. I mean, it's like, seriously, I don't see any 5 o'clock shadow. There's no stubble. It's a relatively clean. I mean, that's a good razor.
If I were still, I was born in Chicago, raised in upstate New York. There's no way this kid's hair is this color. But I come to California, and look at this little blondie that I got over here. I mean, look at this kid. Looks like he's about to go surfing.
Seriously, he's a towhead. Though I do see some brown on the backside there. That looks like he's
a little bit. It should
darken over time.
Yeah, Jack was a little blonde in the beginning. Now he's darker. But look, as the schedule, it comes out at 5 o'clock our time, West Coast time today. I am going to be going live at 5, and I know you're being
I'll be Little League playoff.
Which means you and I are going to have a monster wake up on Friday morning, where we're going to have all of the schedule. We will have been soaking in it for about 24 hours, and we'll have all of our wildly valuable opinions and analysis to offer at that time. But
and it's also the article that I would encourage everybody to go seek out. Go look for, as soon as the schedule is released, within the next 24 hours after that, look for the Warren Sharp article that will come out on the rest advantage or disadvantage that each team has. He'll go through the entire schedule and count all the days and figure out how many teams, have rest advantages and how many days of rest advantage, and then print that thing out and keep it with you all year long, so that when you go bet a football game, before you wager, if your team that you're betting on has a rest advantage or disadvantage.
Well, look at it this way. With all the Monday night games, how many Monday night games are we talking about? That feels like, right there. We got 2 Thursday nighters and a Monday nighter. So we're talking about, depending on where bye weeks fall, at least, easy to see right now, 3 rest disadvantages for the 49ers. I mean, they're going to have a rest disadvantage in week 2, But
what you're looking for is the dramatic one, because
right.
Here's the other thing is when you realize that if you haven't looked for who's got the rest advantage, that's a major player in you're like, hey, I'm going to bet team A against team B. The spread's wrong. Well, you know what? More times than not, I will bet you $1 to a dime that if you look at a point spread this year and you're like, man, that's not right, that there'll be some factor tied to the rest that will impact that spread. Because like the Niners-Bengals, the Bengals blew the doors off the Niners. The Bengals had a 13-day rest advantage because they had a bye week and a Thursday nighter. The Niners were coming back from Minnesota. They had played on a Monday night, so they were on a normal short week.
The Cincinnati game of the year was their best win of the year.
Cincinnati, they didn't just come in and win. They came in and dominated. So 13 days is the equal. I mean, heck, you can, if we had Shanahan sitting right here, he would tell you that if a team has a 1 day advantage on you preparation wise, they have a major edge. When someone's got a 13-day rest advantage, you're going to have a hard time overcoming that. You really are. It's almost like a scheduled loss. And that game was an absolute destruction at the hands of the Bengals. So I'm not saying that the Bengals weren't good and that it was all the schedule. No, I'm not saying that.
Right, but look at it this way. Right after that game ended, and that was the third loss in a row. So they 5 in a row, 5-0, and then they go 0-3 going into the bye week, and then coming out of their bye week. And even though they met the Jaguars, who were also off of a bye week, the Niners were just better. And that's when the Niners played their best football going forward for the rest of the year. I mean, really,
that's also when they made it. They also made a huge lineup switch that day. They pulled Oliver from the field. They put Ambry Thomas back out there, and they got better in coverage and more physical against the run. So that, it's funny. Everybody criticized Ambry because he had a rough finish to his year, but in a lot of ways, the Ambry insertion into the lineup for Oliver was the impetus behind that turnaround.
Again, I still believe in Ambry Thomas. I really do. I know it became very chic to crap on him. I think he's a good player. And look, this is year 3 for him, right? Or is it year 4? Year 3?
Year 4.
Yeah, year 4 now. It's a big year for him. So this is one of those.
He's talented. He's really, really talented. And he's a great guy. But there's been, nobody's going to run from the truth, which is that he's been largely inconsistent, but he is a major talent. He's probably one of their physical prototypes. He's like 6 feet, 195. And he's, runs in the 4.3s. I mean, he's a great athlete. And some days he plays incredible ball. He was great in that Jacksonville game. He was great in a couple other games. And then there's times where he doesn't look as good, but he is a solid corner. That was the other thing that I thought we could get into a little bit today. Pro Football Focus, according to Coach Yak on Twitter, I was looking at, he had put this out there, that Pro Football Focus has given the 49ers a C+ grade for the offseason. I think that's hyper negative. I don't think it's been a C+ offseason. I think their offseason's been closer to a B. I mean, I don't know if I give them an A, but what have they really lost? Eric Armstead, who had chronic knee pain, chronic plantar fasciitis, was making a ton of money. I mean, that was he's the only significant player in my mind that they've lost this offseason.
All right.
So I would have given them more like a B.
My time bomb is officially going off. I'm glad that we got about 40 minutes together. But I just think that I'll just say this about that grade. I think that grade right now, it is a little bit it's a little lame, but it's also kind of fair because it felt like they needed to add players who are ready to help right now because 2024 is your last best chance to win a Super Bowl as you're currently constructed. And I don't know if they really addressed making this team better. The future of some of these picks could turn this draft class into one of the most important of Shanahan's entire tenure or one of the least productive. We will have to see. I don't know how many actual snaps in 2024 were just drafted, added in free agency. I do think they added quite a few snaps. I actually like the Chris Hubbard signing because if you can get an experienced tackle in May, you usually can't. Is he a great player? Absolutely not. But he's been around the league. He's a professional offensive lineman that I think can help this team. They also signed, Shaquille Brown, the defensive lineman out of, would he play Troy, Larry?
Troy State. Yeah. And he's an underrated player. He's an underrated athlete. Yeah.
So, we'll see if he gives them anything, if he even makes the team. How about this? Corey Schrader could be a huge scoop of nothing or he could be the reason why saying goodbye to Christian McCaffrey a couple of years from now was an easy choice to make. Isaac Guerrero is either going to be a big factor in some way, special teams, backup, fullback, backup running back, or he's not going to be a factor at all. Ricky Pearsall is either going to become a preferred game day target, or we hardly even see him. We don't know how it's going to go yet. So we'll see. I mean, I hate grades. I hate scoring off seasons and draft picks because there's something that actually, coming up in the future to measure your off-season success. The regular season will do that, not some writer or anything like that. But anyways, I hear you. The room. Larry, I'm going to ask you, and I know that my channel's in good hands because you're going to keep going here. I gotta calm this one down. Little strep throat reaction going on right now. But look, thanks for everything, brother. It means an awful lot that you've helped so much early on in this YouTube journey, and I thank you. And I leave my channel in your hands, Larry. Go crush it for us, and we'll talk again on Friday morning.
We have one super that I need you to read here. Go ahead.
Previous Ike's employee who luckily now has made a career in public health. Damon, what was your inspiration for your namesake sandwich? I made hundreds of them. Oh, Liam, thank you very much. So I met Ike really, really early on in his success story. He called in to Sports Phone as I was hosting it. We met. We talked about it. I'm like, I'd love to be a sandwich. He's like, well, what do you want to be? I'm like, well, it's got to be.
I'd love to be a sandwich.
I'd love to be a sandwich. And he said, well, what's it got to be? And I had two parameters. I said, I want it to be like a steak sandwich, and I want to be the most expensive sandwich on your menu. And so we came up with, ribeye. That's more expensive. So I'm a steak sandwich, provolone, onion rings, and we came up with it. I've smoked plenty of weed. I can come up with a lot of good sandwiches ideas.
What sauce is on there? Because Ike's sauces are really good.
Yeah, the Godfather sauce is on there, and there's a little steak sauce. I don't know if they're officially allowed to call it A1 or not, because it might not, but it's that.
Gotcha. And the fries, and it's not fries, it's onion rings.
Onion rings. Yeah, we don't put fries. No one puts baked potatoes on their sandwiches. Come on.
But you've got onion rings with the batter and the whole thing right there on the sandwich.
And that's the thing. The secret to really enjoying my sandwich is you just eat it as soon as you get it. Like, it doesn't.
There's no veggies on your sandwich, is there? Of course, lettuce and tomato. Is there anything else in there, or no?
If you want it there, they'll put it on, but it's not. It's not part of the original design of the sandwich. I'm anti-vegetable for the most part.
Now I'm getting hungry just thinking about Ike's sandwiches.
Hey, eat at Ike's. Go get a beer at the Dubliner. Those are my sponsors. And Larry, thanks, brother.
All righty, bro. Have a good one.
There we
appreciate you.
Thank you. Oh, not as much as I appreciate you, sexy. Thank you.
Have a good day. All right. And then there was one. Okay, let me counter what he just said. First of all, his channel sucks. Now let me counter what he said. As far as, Pro Football Focus giving the Niners a C+ for their offseason. I get it from the standpoint that a lot of people believe they needed significant changes to their offensive line. And as we sit here today in early May, there have been no significant changes yet at all to their offensive line. And there's no guarantee that the line will be any different at all than it was last year. And the Niners in the interior were like the fourth worst team in the league as far as the way their offensive line performed in the interior last year. So Banks, Brendel, and Burford, Banks, Brendel, and Feliciano. A lot of people were looking for upgrades there. A lot of people were looking for upgrades at right tackle, with Colton McKivitz at right tackle, struggled at times last year, especially week 1 against TJ Watt. But I will say this. So I kind of understand why people would say C+. But I think when you take a closer look at the Niners off season, what have they added to their football team? Okay, let's start on defense. I think Leonard Floyd is better than any edge rusher that Shanahan has had in San Francisco. I'll take Leonard Floyd in the current edition of Leonard Floyd, what he looked like last year and what he's likely to look like this year. I'll take that over D Ford. I'll take that over Chase Young. I'll take that over Randy Gregory. I'll take Floyd opposite Bosa over any edge rusher combo the Niners have had going back to the Harbaugh era where they had Brooks and Aldon Smith coming off the edges. So to me, adding a bookend to Bosa, who that really is a force, is a major, major, major get. So I think the Leonard Floyd makes the 49ers pass rush, outside pass rush, gives it a lot more teeth, a lot more speed. I mean, like, what do you need when you have Nick Bosa? If you're trying to stretch out your defensive line, what do you need? You need a speed rusher, because you need that guy that can bend the edge, that makes that tackle kick out, that spreads the line out. If you have somebody who's more of a run defender or more of a slowish guy, a bigger bodied guy, maybe you're better against the run. But, if you're really going to have, help Bosa more, you got to, and help out your interior guys more, you need that speed rusher opposite Nick. Nick's 265, 270. He's a relatively big defensive end. He's not 235. He's not 240. So who's the best guy opposite him? The guy that can absolutely bend the edge. And what does Leonard Floyd do? He gets the edge. 10 sacks, I believe, each of the last 3 seasons. So to me, that's where this thing starts on defense, is Leonard Floyd is better than what they've had. Then they kind of traded. It wasn't a trade, essentially, but it kind of essentially was. They basically traded Eric Armstead for 2 defensive tackles, Jordan Elliott and Malik Collins. Well, I'll say this. I would make that trade every single day. I love Eric Armstead. I think there's some things that he's better at than those guys, but the best ability is availability. And the reality was that they were going to wind up paying him a boatload of cash, and his availability was once again going to be in question. Why? Because plantar fasciitis, for the most part, doesn't go away. I had a guy who, I'd said this the other day, and somebody sent me a note. Well, I had this procedure and this procedure, and I had plantar fasciitis, and it actually did go away. So I'm saying basically it's a chronic type condition. And for most people, especially if you're 290 pounds, and you're putting a lot of pressure on your feet and ankles, it's a recurring type situation. He's also had a recurring knee problem, and he's an older player, and he's playing an incredibly physically demanding position. So I think it was illogical to think that Eric Armstead was going to be healthier in his 10th year than he was in his 9th year. And so I have no problem moving on from Eric Armstead. Jordan Elliott last year was the 6th best tackle according to Pro Football Focus against the run. Malik Collins is got some ability to rush the passer, but he's also enormously strong. Both these guys are younger and healthier than Eric Armstead. And you went 2 for 1 in a position where your backups play. It's not like your backup offensive line may never see the field. Your backup defensive line is absolutely going to play, and they're going to play in a rotation. They're going to play early and often. They're going to play all season long. Your depth on your defensive line is not a theoretical thing of what if this guy goes down. All your defensive linemen play. So to go 2 for 1, advantage Niners. To go youth over age, advantage Niners. I think they got a healthier duo, a better, Armstead was really, really good against the run, and he became a great leverage player. He added so much functional strength from his rookie year coming out of Oregon to what he has become, that he's a very, very strong player. But Jordan Elliott and Malik Collins are also enormously strong. I like both those guys. I loved Elliott going back to when he was at Texas before he even got to Missouri. And he's a 310-pounder with very good feet. And as I said, he was 6th best against the run among defensive tackles last year. And then Collins is ridiculously strong. One of the strongest players in the NFL. He was I marveled at his strength when I saw him come out of Nebraska. If you watch some of his Nebraska film, I mean, it was just ridiculous. I mean, he is one of the strongest interior players in the league, and he's developed as a pass rusher. So you got better up front on your defensive line. Then you added Malik Mustafa and Renardo Green to your secondary. Not to mention other guys. I mean, you added Isaac Yadam, who's going to help quite a bit. They added some pieces on the back end, but to me, they added two true alphas, two true leaders in Malik Mustafa and Renardo Green. I think those guys are going to play a significant role. So right there, if you look at the 49ers, now they've lost, Dre Greenlaw at least for part of the year, maybe all of the year, and they replaced him with Devondre Campbell. And I'm not going to sit here and spin that into they're better. They're not better. But they do have Jalen Graham, D. Winters. Those guys are getting better, and Campbell. So there's good depth there. They drafted Tatum Bethune. We'll see if Bethune can contribute. But if you really look at that defense, they're better up front, and they've added two significant players in the secondary, and they're pretty deep at linebacker. So from just on the defensive side of the ball, they're better. And then let's flip it over to the offensive side of the ball. I think Pooney was one of the best players I saw at minicamp. I think there's a very good chance that Pooney beats out the other contenders for that right guard spot, and that would upgrade their offensive line a little bit. We'll see if that happens. It's a little bit of a projection. There still has to be a whole competition. Mason Pline, who's an undrafted free agent tight end, I think is going to be the Niners tight end too. And I really like his ability as a receiver. I think he could be a very good red zone threat. And I think he's likely to be their second best tight end. I think he's going to help them in the red zone. And then you add Grendo and Cody Schrader to your running back room. And you add Ricky Pearsall and Jacob Cowing to your wide receiver core. To me, there's no doubt you're deeper and better at wide receiver. You're deeper and better at running back. I like Pline. I think he's going to be kind of a sleeper. Pooney, I think, has potential to be a 15-year player in the NFL at center or at right guard. I mean, this is a guy who played tackle and guard in college at Kansas. And then when he got to the Senior Bowl, they said, hey, Dominic, play center. And he played center, and he handled guys like, Michael Hall Jr. from Ohio State. Not an easy guy to block, a guy who runs in the 4.7s. So, and Pooney handled him during the Senior Bowl week. So he's got true versatility. He could step in for Brendel. If Brendel goes down, he could step in at right guard. If they feel like he's the better option to Feliciano or Burford, I think he could step in for McKivitz and play some right tackle if necessary. This is a guy that I think is going to help their offensive line, and just meeting him and getting a chance to see him up close the other day. I mean, this guy's got great movement ability, great feet, but he's really, really strong and kind of a nasty finisher on the offensive line. So I think they added a real key cog on that offense by getting Dominic Pooney. And then the weapons that they have are clearly better than the weapons that they had a year ago. I mean, Garendo's speedy. There's no question about that. I don't know what role he'll play, if it will be on special teams as a return guy, as a blocker, as a receiver, but he's going to add something. He's a 220-pound back with 4.3 speed. Schrader didn't look like much at the minicamp, I'll be honest, but I didn't expect him to. But that guy, the quote that I saw that I thought was really interesting and revealing was there was a quote from one scout who said, once this guy gets in your building, you'll never get him out of your building. In other words, once you allow this guy to work, he's going to work and work and work, and he's just going to be better and better and better. So I expect Cody Schrader, to make this football team as an undrafted football player. So there's no doubt you're better there. And then to me, when you're adding 4.3 speed and Cowing, and you're adding Ricky Pearsall and his 4.41 and his route running and hands, and how synced up he's likely to be with Brock Purdy, I think you're much better offensively with the skill position guys that you've gotten. So to me, to give a team a C+, is like, you know what, you really didn't get any better. You may have gotten worse. I think I could make a very compelling argument, and just did, that the Niners are better on both sides of the football. So, would I give them an A? No. Would I've liked to have seen, Zach Frazier, a dominating center to go with Pooney, instead of Pearsall? Yeah, I would have rather seen the Niners go with Zach Frazier and plug him in as a center and plug in Pooney as a guard and really give start building that fortress, that wall around your franchise quarterback, Brock Purdy. I would have gone that route, but they were dreaming the Puka Nacua dream, which was look at the impact that Puka made. Look how difficult it was to defend Stafford to Puka late in the year, especially when you had other weapons like Cooper Kupp. It became you could have Puka blanketed, and yet Stafford, if you wanted to throw him a 5-yard, in cutting route or out cutting route, and Puka knew where he was going, and Stafford was throwing the ball as soon as he got to the top of his drop, almost impossible to defend. Stafford and Puka know where they're going, and you're trying to react, and Stafford's got a gun and a quick release, and he's just top of the drop, zips it to Puka. Puka's running a little choice route, and the defenders, they know exactly where, Stafford knows exactly where he's going to be, and he's literally throwing it before the rush could ever get to him. And the coverage, at best, you're going to be able to just, maybe contend for a PBU, but you're not, you got no chance to steal the pass and pick it off. You got no chance to really break it up. You can just kind of be in the mix. Well, that's what they're hoping to get out of Pearsall. These little rub routes and these little 5, 6, 10-yard routes, and Purdy knows where he's going to be, and Pearsall knows where he's going, and the ball comes out before he makes his break, and Purdy's accuracy puts it right on his hands, and Pearsall runs this perfect route, and he gets this ball, it's right on his hands. I mean, good luck stopping that. So I get it. I mean, I'm one of the people that would rather have had an offensive or defensive lineman than Pearsall. But before you go and be super critical of the Pearsall pick, you better pump the brakes, because there is a chance that Purdy to Pearsall is not just good, it could be prolific. Why? Because Brock is accurate and plays the game with tremendous accuracy and on time. And that kid's got ball skills and route running ability, and he's really smart, and he's really veteran-like, and he's going to run to a spot, and that ball, he's going to turn his head, and that ball's going to be there. And once you start seeing it in real time, and you realize, man, anytime the Niners get to 3rd and 4, 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, they've got Debo, they've got Ayuk, they've got Kittle, they've got CMC, they've got an accurate quarterback. Oh, and now they've added, and they've got Jacob Cowing running 4-3 down the field. And now they're adding a Ricky Pearsall who's going to run some super precise route right in the middle of the field, and Purdy's going to throw the ball with timing. I mean, that could be borderline unstoppable. The other area where I think it could be really, really fun to watch is that Purdy's really good because of his 1-5-4 10-yard split. He's really good at escaping and getting to that second launch point, that second platform, where he's like Mahomes. He doesn't run to run. I mean, he will once, twice a game with the money on the table, just like Mahomes. And you saw that in the Green Bay game where they had to have a score. And Purdy, one of the key plays there was Purdy running. And he'll run with the money on the table, just like Mahomes will. But he's not looking to run. He's looking to escape the pass rush, get to another spot to throw. When he's running in the pocket, he's keeping his eyes posted downfield. That's where Purdy to Pearsall is going to be absolutely incredible. Why? Because when I studied Pearsall, what I saw was he played with some pretty bad quarterbacks at University of Florida. But when those quarterbacks got rushed and they moved from side to side within the pocket, this guy freed himself up. So he, let's say he's running a little in cutter. Well, now the quarterback starts rolling to his right. And then he just, I thought one of the things that Pearsall did exceptionally well is he worked back to the quarterback like a 10-year vet. And that's a nuance, man. That's something that many young receivers have no ability to do at all in college and are not really good at it. They're going to run the route that they're supposed to run, and then it's just kind of like, all right, we'll figure it out on the fly. Well, Pearsall is going to, when Purdy runs, 8 yards to his right to escape the pass rush and keeps his eyes posted downfield, Pearsall is going to peel off of his guy, create that separation for the second time with footwork and precision, and get to the soft spot, and Purdy's going to hit him. And that's gonna seem borderline unstoppable. And when you have an unstoppable element to your offense, what that essentially provides you is continuity piece. So you're going to have drives that are extended, and you're going to sit there and say, well, how did Pearsall do today? We're going to have games this year where people are going to be like, well, he only had, 5 catches for, on 7 targets for, 43 yards. But 3 of those 5 catches, extended, went for first downs and extended drives. And eventually, Purdy found Ayuk in the end zone, or Kittle or Debo or McCaffrey in the end zone, and they scored a touchdown. But really the key play in the drive was 3rd and 7. And they put a blitz on Purdy, and he moved 8 feet to his right, and Pearsall peeled off of his man, and he caught it for 8 yards, and the drive continued. So the same way that Puka, when you watch the Rams, you sit there and you go, God, how did the Niner defense, even with Wentz at quarterback at the end of the year, could not get off the field against the Rams? Why? Because Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua run these unbelievable routes. The other thing I really loved about this Niner offseason was that it made sense. So why are the Rams so difficult to defend? Because you've got Cooper Kupp, who's a great route runner. Then you added Puka Nacua, who's an equally great route runner, who's also super physical and can take hits after he catches the ball. And then their third guy is Tutu Atwell. And Tutu Atwell runs 4.2. And so he's creating all kinds of separation. So, go defend that. Go defend a quarterback with a gun, one wide receiver that's sub 4.3, and then Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua. Literally, I could play tight end, and I'd probably get open. They had Higbee as well. So the Niners, they didn't just add Pearsall. They also added a 4.3 excellent route runner in Jacob Cowing to a receiving core that already had Debo, JJ, and Ayuk, and Kittle, and McCaffrey. So I think, your wide receiver core's got to complement one another. What makes the Rams so scary is that Tutu Atwell complements Puka. Puka complements Kupp. You look at the Niners right now, they run across the middle of the field with tremendous courage. But now you've added a 4.3 excellent route runner in Cowing, who's going to create space. You've added another receiver in Pearsall, who's got great route running ability in the middle of the field. And, so the pieces really do complement one another. So you've added that speed threat, and you've added that great route runner to an already really dominating core of weapons. So I would give the Niners a solid B. I really would. If they had gotten Zach Frazier or Michael Hall or Ruka instead of Pearsall, I would have preferred that. And but overall, I really like it. I really like the offseason that I've seen from the Niners, and I would give it a solid B. If I was going to be critical, I'd say maybe B- because they didn't get the guy that I wanted them to get. But overall, I got to give it a solid B. Blood Moon says Danny Gray's time is now or never. I see him being cut. Yeah, it's go time for Danny Gray, and it's funny. Danny Gray told me last year, I'm like, man, he's like, man, wait till I get in the end zone and you're going to see my touchdown dance. Danny, I want to see it. Show me the touchdown dance. I'll say this too. When I saw Danny Gray at SMU, there was another receiver that he played with that was also pretty damn good, but Danny Gray plays even faster. They timed him at 4.33. If you watched him, he plays like a 4.2 burner. So he's had a hard time staying healthy. But it's amazing how guys get healthy when they're staring at the end of their career. And I agree with you. Danny Gray is going to get cut if he doesn't show up. So I do expect Danny Gray to show up and fire this summer. What's it going to look like? Is it going to be enough to hold off Cowing? I don't know. But Danny Gray is, when I saw him at SMU, he wasn't just a speed burner with no ball skills. He actually made catches, and he ran routes. And I thought that was a really good pick. But he's had nagging injuries. He's built kind of slightly. I don't think he's got the highest pain threshold. And he hasn't been able to get on the field or stay on the field. He's basically done nothing production-wise in 2 years. So it's go time for Danny Gray. And it's go time for a number of guys on this roster. It's go time for 5 or 6 guys across the roster. Maybe I'll do a little video on that this morning after the show's over. It's go time for some guys on this Niner roster. And he's one of them. He's absolutely one of them. Spencer Burford, it's go time for you, buddy. Drake Jackson, it's go time for you, buddy. Nick Sakel, it's go time for you, buddy. I mean, these guys are either going to Kalia Davis. It's now or never. You don't get, it's not like you don't get any time to develop in the NFL, but you don't get more than a year or two. And these guys are now on that year or two, and the clock is ticking, and they'll be replaced by, younger, healthier, guys who are ready to contribute if they don't get out there and really produce. So anyway, I do think it's going to be a good year for the Niners. I'm eager to see what the schedule release looks like tonight. I'm really eager to see the Warren Sharp article on the rest equation, and how many times do the Niners have a rest advantage versus how many times do they have a rest disadvantage. We got this one here too. We got this one. Let's see, where is it? We got so many people chatting in here. We got this one, Womack. Yeah, Sam Womack, go time. No question. Sammy Womack, it's go time, buddy. This is it. And there's a bunch of guys like that. There really are. I mean, it's the entire 2022 draft class. Drake Jackson, it's go time, man. Love Drake Jackson. One of my favorite guys to talk to on the team. I consider him a friend. And I love talking to him. I'm invested in his career, and I believe in him, but it's got to happen. The first year, that's one thing. The second year, there's injuries. You had the 3 sacks in week 1. This year, you got to put it all together, man. You got to put it all together. And if the Niners have probably, I would say, 6 to 10 guys on their roster right now where it's go time this summer. And if you could tell me that of those 6 to 10 guys, that 90% of them are going to develop and come through, then I'm going to tell you the Niners are going back to the bowl in New Orleans. If you're going to tell me that they're going to go 0 for 10 and that, Kalia and Burford and Drake and Womack and all these guys are just not going to fulfill their potential and they're all going to just kind of wither away career-wise, then the Niners, I'll sit here and tell you that the Niners are probably going to fall short to Detroit, Green Bay, Philly, probably one of those teams. So it's go time. It's absolutely go time, and it's crucial. It's crucial that the Niners get some production out of these guys. Blood Moon says Latu, sad, but if he doesn't learn to catch, he gone. Yeah, Cam Latu, it's go time, buddy. You got the red shirt year last year. Though I will say this, and I brought this up to Grant the other day. We were so focused on Pearsall and so focused on Garendo and so focused on the other guys at minicamp that nobody really spent any time evaluating this kid Mason Pline. But this was a steal. And this kid can really catch. He's 6'8". He's a former basketball player. He's got 10.5-inch hands. He ran pretty natural routes. He's got upper body strength. He's not some weak guy. He's a mechanical engineering major. So what he's got between the ears is spectacular. He's enormously smart. If you're an engineer, you're smart. If you're a mechanical engineering major, you're way, way, way smarter than all the other guys on this team. who was a mechanical engineering major? It was Jack Coletto last year. Kyle Juszczyk told me that Jack Coletto was the smartest football player he had ever encountered. And Kyle's pretty smart too. He went to Harvard. So he knows intelligence when he sees it. And Coletto, I asked Jack, we had him on the show in the springtime, and he's a great guy. And I wish him luck. He's in the Steelers camp this summer. But he was a borderline NFL athlete, right? He was a guy, special teamer at Oregon State, quarterback, linebacker, fullback, but not really a guy that you play from scrimmage at any of those spots. So he needed to work on his body. He knew it. He didn't quite have an NFL body. But I said to him, what is your advantage? And he's like, oh, my advantage is my smarts. I can memorize all the formations and all the plays. And then when you watched him in the preseason, you could see he was moving fast out on the football field. Why? Because most rookies move slow like Cam Latu did, because there's just too much mentally going on and they're thinking, and it's a reaction sport and there's no time to think. So, Latu looks slow and laboring and like he had the worst hands of all time. But what I recognize with Latu is that he just had too much going on up here. The tight end position in the Niner offense demands that you are processing and digesting all kinds of variables on the fly. It was too much for him to overcome, and so his hands looked bad. I fully expect Cam Latu to show up this summer and look dramatically improved, because now he's had a year to learn the offense. He should know every check, every protection, every route concept, every variable. He should have it down, and now it should just be play. Just go out there and play. And I think you're going to see a much better player in Latu. But I also think that Pline, as a mechanical engineering major with great athleticism, huge size, and massive hands, is going to be a steal. And and it's a little bit of a projection based on traits, because I'll be honest, I've only watched 3 or 4 films of his, and I've only watched him practice for one day. But I love what I saw. He competes for the ball. He competes for the ball in the air. He's got a big catch radius. He's 6'8", but he's not so linear that he looks like he could just be moved around. He's got some play strength. He's got some nasty to him. He's got some big time athleticism. I mean, this guy in his basketball film was doing these like tomahawk 2-hand reverses. And I mean, he looked like the Aaron Gordon of Ferris State when I was watching the highlights. And when I watched it, I was like, wow, okay, so I don't need to see I don't need to see this guy's 3-cone. I don't need to see him in agility drills. I've seen more than enough athleticism just watching his basketball highlights to know that he's got fluidity and bounce and athleticism and hand-eye coordination. And, he's a high-level athletic guy. And then I'm just kind of wondering, well, is he soft? I mean, that, and it's funny, Guy Haberman had his college coach on, and his college coach admitted that when NFL teams called to ask about Pline, they basically said, is this guy a pussy? I mean, they basically said, is this guy weak? And the way he phrased it was, do you see the basketball player in him? And that's like football scouts just calling everybody who ever played basketball a wuss, which is obviously not the case. But that's the way football people look at basketball players. It's like, oh yeah, you're a basketball player. That means that if you take a hit, you're the ball's coming out. That means if you take a hit, you're not going to run the route with any conviction anymore. You're going to play with fear and this and that. Pline is going to stick because he's super smart, super tall, very athletic, and he's at a position where they don't have tons of athletes. So if you're saying to me, what's tight end look like? I think it's Kittle, Pline, and the resurgence in year 2 of Cam Latu. And I think the other guys, Braden Willis maybe makes it as the 4th tight end. Tongues, no. And there's a couple other guys there. Saubert, we'll see what Saubert does. Maybe Saubert could give Braden Willis a run for that 4th tight end spot, maybe. But basically, I think it's going to be Kittle and Pline and Latu at tight end. And we'll see. Maybe they'll add another piece to the puzzle. As far as the 2 guys the Niners just added, Shaquille Brown went to Troy State. He didn't play football in high school until the 11th grade. So he didn't play until he was a junior in high school. There's some guys who play football from Pop Warner level on. Most guys play football at least from like 8th and 9th grade on. They play high school football. They play all 4 years. This guy didn't play as a freshman. He didn't play as a sophomore. He was a basketball player until the 11th grade. So he developmentally was a little bit behind. But man, when you watch the Shaquille Brown highlight reel, 295 pounds, great speed. I mean, the guy ran sub 5.0 40. He had one of the highest percentile short shuttles. So he's really quick in a short area. And he had 30 reps on the bench, which is an enormous amount of strength. 30, anytime you get north of 30 reps on the bench, we're talking about 30 reps of 225 pounds. That's damn good. I mean, in my heyday of lifting, I think I got 11 reps, maxed out at 11 reps at 225. And if I did it today, I'd be lucky if I got 2 reps. Now, granted, I'm 54 years old and I'm not in the NFL. But this guy to put up 30 reps at 225, that's good. That's really good. That's good strength. Now, 40, 45, getting closer to 50, then you're talking about record-setting, crazy strength, all-timer. But 30 reps, to me, anything north of 25 is pretty damn good. When you can get to 30, then it's like, wow, you got good strength. So this guy's got really good strength, and then he also has good speed, and he's 295 pounds. So Shaquille Brown is going to be a guy to watch for. He wore number 95 in the minicamp, and he really did look like a ton, too. I mean, we're talking about, 6'3", 295, and shredded. I mean, we're talking about a guy who is really cut up, who's in great shape. I mean, he's not doughy in any way. And I know doughy. No, I'm just joking about that. But I'm saying, this guy's ripped at 295. So when you see guys who are kind of cut at 295, that's impressive. And then when you watched him out there, you can see what people like. Now, a lot of it's putting a really raw prospect on Chris's plate and saying, Chris, make something happen. But the Niner wide 9 scheme does allow for, if you can get the proper motivation, the right kind of athlete, it's a one gap and go, penetrate, get up the field, put pressure on the quarterback, move him off his spot, affect the quarterback kind of a defense and or kind of a front. And I think Shaquille Brown's a guy to watch. And then you heard Damon talking about Hubbard. Hubbard is a real NFL tackle. So, the fact of the matter is, who knows? I mean, I wanted to see some competition for McKivitz. And now with Hubbard and McKivitz, and you've got Pooney, and, there's a couple of Brandon Parker. You've got 3 or 4 or 5 guys there that potentially can compete for that right tackle spot. They're not going to beat out McKivitz, I don't think, but you never know. You never know. And Hubbard, at least, Hubbard had an injury. So, he didn't play. I think he got hurt in the preseason. And so he didn't play a lot, but this guy's played roughly a decade in the NFL and has played meaningful snaps. So he does provide an alternative to McKivitz and at least a competitor to McKivitz in camp this summer. So overall, I would say I kind of like what the Niners have done. I think I would give them closer to a B. I realize that there are people that, wanted to see a first round offensive tackle, but the reality was at 31, they were going to get the 9th best tackle. It's like, I don't know if I wanted the 9th best offensive tackle. Invader 49er says, I need that D-line play to play like a pack of crazed wolves. And then we got this one from Lore, who says, Larry, who is the 53-man prediction before the season starts? Oh, wow. I mean, at this point, I'd have to go through piece by piece. But, I mean, this is the way I'll give you the quick 53. Okay, Lore, this is just for you. Purdy, Dobbs, and I think Tanner Mordecai has a very good chance to beat out Brandon Allen. But one of those 3. And maybe it's really only Purdy and Dobbs with Brandon Allen or Tanner Mordecai being on the practice squad. So it might really be 2 quarterbacks on your 53 to start the year, with one of those other 2 guys, Allen or Mordecai, as your practice squad quarterback. So that's what I'm looking at. That's what you're looking at quarterback. At running back, they're probably going to take 6. And my guess is it's Mitchell, Mason, McCaffrey, Juszczyk, Schrader, Garendo. Most teams keep 5. So maybe they're going, I think they're going 6. Garendo's really the guy to watch for because he's got high end ability and he might be a fullback. That's all I'll say. Tight end, we just outlined it for you. I think they'll take 3, Kittle, Latu, and I'm projecting Latu bounce back, and Mason Pline. So they'll go with 3 tight ends, not 4. They're going to have to steal a couple spots. If they're going to go with an extra running back and an extra receiver, like I'm going to have in the roster, that means you got to steal a spot from some other spot. Maybe that's quarterback, maybe that's tight end. They've gone with 3 quarterbacks at times. They've gone with 4 tight ends at times. I don't think they will. I think they'll go short there. 2 quarterbacks, 3 tight ends. Wide receiver, I think they're probably going to go, obviously, Debo, Ayuk, JJ. Those are your 3. And then Cowing is 4, and Pearsall's 5. I think those are your five receivers. So most teams go with a combination of 10 running backs and receivers. I think they're going to go with 11. But that also means that Trent Taylor, cut. Ronnie Bell, cut. Tay Martin, cut. Chris Conley, cut. There's a lot of good receivers that the Niners have that are likely to get cut. So maybe there's a trade involved there, and I'm not saying they're going to trade Ayuk or Debo, but maybe Ronnie Bell, maybe there's going to be a receiver that has a good preseason and a good camp that gets cut from this team. That's just reality. Offensive line, I'm going to go with 9. So Trent Williams, Aaron Banks, Jake Brendel, John Feliciano, and Colton McKivitz are your starters. Jalen Moore, Dominic Pooney, and then those last 2 spots are up for grabs. Jalen Moore, Dominic Pooney. Will it be Kingston, who was the draft pick? Will it be Drake Nugent? Will it be Nick Sakel, who's a favorite because he's Brock Purdy's buddy and roommate? I don't know. The competition for those last 2 spots, but I'll say 9 offensive linemen, 3 specialists. Get a pull of water. 3 specialists: Moody, Wishnowsky, Tabor Pepper. Okay. I'm going to say 10 D linemen, and this is another area where it's going to be wide open. It's Bosa and Floyd and Hargrave and Collins and Jordan Elliott, those 5 for sure, and then 5 more. And I don't know who the 5 are going to be, but I would say probably Givens, maybe Evan Anderson inside, maybe Shaquille Brown, maybe Drake, maybe Beal. I'm not really sure. I think the five guys, you're going to get your Collins and Hargrave for sure, Floyd and Bosa for sure, probably Yatir Gross Matos for sure. So those 5 guys for sure. And then the competition is going to be for the other 5 guys. And they've got about 10 different guys that will compete for those 5 spots. So I'm not really sure the last 5 defensive linemen. That's going to be a, TBD. Linebacker, I'm going to say they're going to go with 6. Greenlaw is going to be on the PUP. You're going to have Fred Warner, Devondre Campbell, Jalen Graham. I think those 3 for sure. And then it's going to come down to probably D. Winters and probably one of the special teamers. So either Flanagan Fowles, Curtis Robinson, Ezekiel Turner. So one of those guys. So I would say 5, probably 5, maybe 6 linebackers. Safety-wise, I think you're going to go with 4. and it's going to be Jair Brown and Talanoa Hufanga, but he could start on the PUP list because he had the ACL. And then you got Malik Mustafa and you got George Odom. So those 4 guys. The other kid, the Vandy kid, Mahoney, Jalen Mahoney, I think he's going to have a good camp too. I like what I saw on film of Jalen Mahoney. I really did. But I think they're going 4. Odom, Hufanga, Brown, and Mustafa. And then if Hufanga is not ready to roll, then that will give 1 extra spot. And my guess is it's Taylor Hawkins, who I really like. And I think Hawkins was a corner at San Diego State. He had a hard time figuring out what weight to get at. He was a little too heavy. Last year, he was in great shape. There wasn't an opportunity. So not really sure how it's all going to shake out, but I like Hawkins. He's smart. He's athletic. I think he's ready to be on the roster. And then corner wise, you can never have enough corners, but I would say you're gonna keep for sure 5 corners, and those 5 are going to be Mooney and Lenore, and after that, it's hard to say, right? Renardo Green for sure. So Moody, Lenore, Green, and then you've got Womack and Luter and Ambry, and I think and you also have Isaac Yadam, Chase Lucas. The cut at corner is going to be tough. But once again, it's a pleasant problem to have. Why? Because the truth is cornerbacks in the NFL in this pass-happy era are kind of like starting pitching in baseball. You never have enough. And the Niners have like 8 or 9 what I consider NFL caliber corners going to camp. So they're in a good spot there. But that's how I see it. So as you see, the competition is going to be for those last couple linebacker spots, for the last couple corner spots. And then the backup, there's a couple backup D-line spots that are wide open. There's a couple backup O-line spots that are wide open. And the receivers are stacked. I mean, there's going to be 3 or 4 good receivers cut loose at the end of camp. So there you go. There's my breakdown of the 53. I realize it wasn't exact, but that's as good as you get in the middle of May. All right, that's going to do it for us. It's a big gym day today. I think I'm going to go do some lifting and maybe do some running. Trying to drop a few more LBs, maybe get on the bike in this warm weather. Then I'll be out on the diamond later this afternoon with my kids' 14-year-old team trying to win a playoff game. And then tonight is Wednesday night. So when the schedule comes out, we'll have a full breakdown of the schedule. But I'll be at Little League until, 7:00. And then tonight is Wednesday night. So usually we stream if Kev has time with Kev, and we do the call-in show on Wednesday night. So maybe tonight, roughly 8:30, we will do a call-in stream with Kev and go through the schedule. And that's we'll call it a Wednesday. We'll call it a Wednesday on the show. We got this one from Robert. He says, "Run, Larry, run." Thank you. Appreciate all you. Congratulations to Damon once again for getting 20,000 subs, man. And if you could do me a favor and give him a like and a subscribe. He's a good guy who works hard, and he needs your support. Absolutely needs your support. Thanks to everybody who's done the like and subscribe thing over here. I can't tell you how great it's been the last few years doing the YouTube channel and, getting a chance to transition full-time from being a full-time radio guy to being a full-time YouTube guy. And I've had a ton of fun. And we're sitting, if I can get this to update here, I think we're sitting at close to 43,000 subs. And I just want to thank every single one of you guys because couldn't have done it without you. As Bob Fitzgerald used to say, without the audience, we are simply talking to ourselves. And you don't want to be that guy. So anyway, thanks to all you guys. And let's thank the sponsors as well. Pig and a Pickle, the title sponsor of the Krueger Show. Check them out. They're in Corte Madera and Emeryville. They're open 7 days a week from 11 a.m. till 8 p.m. or until they run out. And they do run out. So check them out. Go say hi to Damon and Mary. Get some brisket. Brisket chili is amazing. The pulled pork is awesome. They smoke the ribs and the brisket for like 18 hours, and it's just amazing. It drinks in all this flavor. They go house-made sausages. It's really, really good. So go say hi to Damon and Mary over at Pig and a Pickle. Tell them that Krug sent you. Corte Madera, Emeryville, both locations open 7 days a week. Nobody works. You think we work hard on YouTube? Nobody works harder than Damon and Mary running Pig and a Pickle. So thanks to them. They've been a godsend and the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're at 205 Cypress Avenue in Pacific Grove, California. Give Anthony Catania a call. He's at 831-521-5264. The first Friday of every month throughout the summer months, May, June, July, August, and September, the warm months, they do kind of like a sidewalk deal where they actually they come out in front of their store and there's free food and drink, and people are out there buying and selling sports collectibles and all the different businesses around Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles are out there. So if you're down in Monterey, go say hi to Anthony Catania, or if you have card needs or collectible needs, give them a call, 831-521-5264. And also, thanks to Underdog Fantasy, check the link in the description. Use the promo code KRUG, KRUEG, and they'll match you up to your first $100. And thanks to Marin Autoglass, great sponsor as well, the great Saeed, marinautoglass.com on the web. We really appreciate them as well. We've had a couple people express interest in being sponsors of the Krug Show now that we're sitting at 40,000 plus subs. And I don't do a whole lot of solicitation for sponsors, but if you're interested in sponsoring, the best way to get a hold of me is just DM me on Twitter, and we'll talk it over and we'll see if we're mutually beneficial for one another. There's all kinds of different opportunities to sponsor, whether it be phone lines or title sponsorship, where right now is taken. But, we always have room for a great sponsor. And if you're interested, let me know. The one thing I promise all of our sponsors is an exclusive in their area of purchasing. So like if you're a card shop, I hate to say it, not interested. Because we have a card shop. If you're a glass company, we're not interested. We have a glass company. Right now, if you're a barbecue restaurant, we're not interested. We have a barbecue restaurant. So whatever your area of purchasing is, we give you an exclusive in that area of purchasing as a way to say, hey, look, we care about the growth of your business as much as we care about the advertising and the growth of our own. So anyway, thanks to all of you guys. Have a great Wednesday. Enjoy this fantastic weather. Go Niners. Hopefully the schedule release is a positive one for the Niners. And thanks for supporting the Krug Show. Thanks for supporting Damon's channel. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.
And as Trent Baalke would say, you know what? Go out there and tear an ACL.